with it being the middle of summer and the MLB All-Star Game getting the lowest ratings in the history of the MLB All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby being a snooze fest, in my opinion. We are going to change things up here today. We're going to be talking NFL and NBA. We're going to be doing buy, sell, or hold, one of my favorite games out there. I'm going to be playing your stockbroker, and I will decide whether I will buy it, hold it, or sell it. Now, for those of you guys listening on video, you will not be able to hear the sound effects, unfortunately, on audio, but you will get the gist. But if I pause for a second, that is the reason why. We're going to be having 10 NBA topics, 11 NFL topics. I do want to shout out my man, Jalen Sandvik, who I brought on the podcast last week. We talk all things wrestling, NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball. Go check out that podcast. It was a really great interview. I asked him to come up with these topics. I told him, with Major League Baseball being so boring and it's so localized, obviously we'll see where Juan Soto ends up. And with wrestling, with SummerSlam right around the corner, but it obviously not being as big as the NBA or the NFL, I didn't want to do any of those two sports. I kind of wanted to keep this to the NBA and the National Football League. So thank you, Jalen, for coming up with those topics. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's play buy, sell, or hold. Kicking things off, our first topic in the NBA, we got my very own local Cleveland Cavaliers. Of course, I cover the Cleveland Cavaliers for Believe Land Media on the All Things Cavs ATC podcast every week with my good buddy, the Vice President of Operations for Believe Land Media, Joey Snyder. Make sure to go check us out. As always, that link is in the description below. But the question from Jalen is, Darius Garland will continue to put up the same numbers as last year if Collin Sexton returns to the Cleveland Cavaliers? This, folks, is a hold. Now, the reason why this is a hold is because, number one, we don't know if Collin Sexton is going to be back, obviously, but if he does come back, we do not have enough of a sample size to know if Darius Garland's numbers last year that he put up after Collin Sexton went out was strictly because Collin Sexton went out, or if it's because the light bulb went out. Now, I've been saying since Darius Garland was drafted with the number 5 overall pick in the 2019 NBA draft that I don't think having two 6'1" guards on the floor with similar skill sets work. I don't think Garland and Sexton can necessarily play together. I've been advocating on ATC for the last 40 episodes that we've done now that I would love to see Sexton come off the bench. I think he's a Lou Williams perfect type 6-man role. I don't think, again, him and Garland work well together on the court. I think if Garland can give you 20 to 25 and Sexton can give you, 20 points off the bench, that would be a real boost to the Cavs, who struggle on the wing and don't really have anybody outside of Darius Garland and Garrett LeVert now a little bit when he's not struggling that can create his own shot. So we just don't know if it's enough of a sample size to say Garland was better without Sexton. We will find out this year, I believe, if Sexton does come back, which is why this is a hold for now. Second question. The Cavaliers will finish as a top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. Yes, this is a hold, and the reason why it is a hold is because all of the NBA moves have not been made yet. We don't know what's going to happen with Brooklyn. Now, we know Milwaukee is still going to be very good. They are at the top, obviously, you would think, of the Eastern Conference. If Brooklyn keeps all their pieces together, I think that they are a top of the Eastern Conference. Of course, you got the Miami Heat with Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero and all those guys. We know that they are not going away. Philly with Joel Embiid and James Harden are always, talent-wise, they're always right there in the mix, the top 4 seed. And then you got the Eastern Conference champions of last year, the Boston Celtics, who have added some pieces and look to reload and go on another deep playoff run again this season. So that is 5 teams right there. I think the Cavs are more of a 6 seed. They certainly could be, in that 5th seed range. If some team struggles down the stretch, you've still got the Atlanta Hawks in there as well. I think LaMelo Ball and the Charlotte Hornets are coming as more competition in the Eastern Conference. Now, I do think the Bulls, who of course were the 6th seed last year, do take a step back. But when you got Atlanta, Charlotte, Brooklyn, Boston, Milwaukee, Philly, Miami, the Cavs can certainly be a top 5 team, and one of those teams, struggle with it in the regular season. And the Cavs with Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen can't take that step. But we don't really know about Brooklyn. I think if Brooklyn was out of the equation, I think the Cavs could certainly be a top 5 seed. But for right now, that's why this is a Hulk. Kevin Durant will end up on the Miami Heat. This is a hard sell for me. I have been saying, and I interviewed Jalen last week, and I've been saying the last couple of weeks on this podcast, I have said I will not trade Kevin Durant if I am the Brooklyn Nets. He has 4 years left on his contract. I am not honoring a trade request when you just signed a max deal last summer. Let's pretend I got a new job as of course I'm working on my day job right now. Let's pretend that after 3 months of working there, I tell my boss somebody's bullying me. I want out. I signed a 4-year contract. My boss is not going to let me out of it. Plus, Kevin Durant is still a top 5 player in basketball. Whatever value you get is going to be nothing compared to the lethalness of Kevin Bleeping Durant, who is still arguably the best scorer in today's basketball. I think it's going to be really hard for Brooklyn to trade him, especially in the Eastern Conference. I don't see, KD going to Miami. Brooklyn would have to get Jimmy Butler back. In my opinion, I don't see it really working out. I don't think KD goes to Miami. I don't think he goes to Phoenix. I think he stays right there in Brooklyn. And to go on the lines of what's going on in Brooklyn, we got 2 questions. The first one here, Kyrie Irving will play this season. I'm going to go ahead and buy that. I think Kyrie Irving will play this year, and I'm going to go ahead and buy that he will play for the Brooklyn Nets. I don't think the Lakers are going to be moving off Russell Westbrook, which we'll get to here in a minute. I think Kyrie Irving is going to stay in Brooklyn. And as I just said, I think Kevin Durant is going to stay in Brooklyn. And then along the lines of that, will Ben Simmons play this season? That is also a buy, in my opinion. I think Ben Simmons will play this year. There is no excuse to me of Ben Simmons that he will not play this season. I mean, he sat out all last season with a mysterious neck injury. He is healthy. He should be in basketball shape. Now, we know he hasn't been in the gym shooting jump shots, even though he should, because that will make him more valuable and will make him one of the best players in basketball. We know the frame is there. We know the what is the word that I am looking for? The tangibles are there, right? 6'10", big guy, can handle like a point guard, great defender, good stealer. I think he was in the conversation, I think, for Defensive Player of the Year award. But when you cannot shoot 3 to 5 feet outside the basket, you basically become a liability in today's NBA. Pretty much everybody has to have a jump shot. But I do believe Ben Simmons plays this year. I think it's for the Nets. And to wrap it up, I do think KD, Kyrie, Ben Simmons, the big 3, opening night, they are all in a Brooklyn Nets uniform because they never played one dribble together. And to me, if I'm going to make that trade like Brooklyn did last year, sending James Harden to Philly for Ben Simmons, you have to see if it'll work. I don't think it'll work, but you have to see. You got to at least let them play for the first half of this season together. If you're struggling at the trade deadline and you want to trade Kyrie Irving because he could leave at the end of the season, I completely understand that. But at least to start the season, Brooklyn should have their big 3 together. Next question, moving off the Nets. LeBron Raymond James, born 12/30/1984 in Akron, Ohio, to one Gloria James, will get his 5th ring this season. Folks, I hate to say it, this is a sell. There's just too many good teams, let alone in the West and the East as well. The Lakers are a bottom team. They did not upgrade the roster at all the way it is currently constructed. LeBron will score 30 points a game like he always will. Of course, he's showing off in the Drew League right now, the 2 week, whatever you want to call it. Who cares? It's about playing regular season 82 game basketball, not about a showcase against kids alongside DeMar DeRozan. I don't give a rip about that at all, LeBron. I didn't care if he went over 20 or if he went 20 for 20 in that game. Fact of the matter is, when you got Golden State, when you got Memphis, when you got the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, who I believe are coming, when you have Phoenix, who will still be legitimate, even though I would not have brought back DeAndre Ayton, I think he's too soft for the postseason. But when you have, those teams, you got Nikola Jokic in Denver, who with Jamal Murray coming back will be, we think, a more formidable force. When you got the Minnesota Timberwolves now with Rudy Gobert, Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards on the rise, and then we just mentioned, teams like Milwaukee and Boston and Brooklyn and Philly in the East. And the Pelicans, by the way, in the West, I almost forgot about them. They are up and coming as well now that Zion Williamson is on a max contract. To me, the Lakers, they may sneak into the play-in tournament if they get on a little bit of a run, but I don't think that they will. I think there's no shot this year that LeBron gets his 5th ring, unfortunately, and I don't think he will win another championship in Los Angeles, and I'm pretty adamant about that. Speaking of the Lakers, Russell Westbrook will play terrible again this season, Jalen asks. Yes, this is another sell for me. You guys know how I feel about Russell Westbrook. I do not think he is a Hall of Fame basketball player. I know he's got all the triple doubles. I know he's got all the stats. But the fact of the matter is, since he's left OKC, he's been traded 4 times. He is a degrading player. He's just not a very good basketball player anymore. I would actually put him in the bottom 5 of players in the NBA. I don't care if he plays hard. I don't care if he plays 82 games a year. He is not productive when he's on the court. It doesn't lead to wins. It's stat padding. It's ball hogging. It was my gripe with James Harden for years when he was in Houston. Now at least Harden took a little bit less to come back to the Sixers because Harden realizes in order to save his legacy, he has to win a championship. Russell Westbrook, I don't think realized that. I think he just wants the ball. He doesn't know when to stop. He knows he has to play 100 miles per hour. He will lead the league in turnovers once again, and it will be a detriment to his team once again. And as I said, the Lakers, I think, will unfortunately be, even with LeBron, AD, and Russell Westbrook this season, a disaster because LeBron doesn't play 82 games anymore and Anthony Davis is always hurt. And what we know what Russell Westbrook is, he's basically a solo act, no matter if those 2 other All-Stars are on the court with him or not. Next question here. We're going to get to some general NBA ones now. Luka Doncic, baby bird, as old Shannon Sharp from Undisputed will call. Luka will win the MVP this season. This is a hold, I believe, because the MVP is just so dicey. We never really know. Obviously, last year it was Joel Embiid. It was Nikola Jokic. It was Giannis. These guys will always be in the conversation. So will Luka as well. But when you got Golden State, when you got Memphis, when you got Phoenix, when you got Milwaukee, Philly, these guys, and you got guys like Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic and Giannis carrying their teams. As great of a stat as Luka puts up, I'm not sure if Dallas is going to win enough in order for Luka to get that MVP. I think we'll just see how the season begins. Obviously, he could get hurt, knock on wood. He doesn't. He's a great basketball player before the season begins, but that's why this is a hold. Up next, the Bucks will make a deep playoff run. I'm buying this completely. I've mentioned the Bucks a couple of times. I believe without Chris Middleton, they would have beat Boston last year in the semifinals. I think they are one of the top three, top four teams in the NBA. Giannis Antetokounmpo, after that 2021 NBA championship against the Phoenix Suns, has finally arrived. And I believe that the Bucks will make a deep playoff run of at least the Eastern Conference Finals. That's how I would consider a deep playoff run if you're one of the final four teams remaining. And I do think the Bucks have a great chance to make it out of the East this season and get back to the NBA Finals. As of right now, no significant moves have been made, and I would put Brooklyn 1, or excuse me, I would put Milwaukee 1. And if Brooklyn has all their talent and they would work, I put Brooklyn 2. And you can certainly, again, shovel the deck with Boston, Philly, Miami, and maybe the Cavs in there at 3, 4, 5, and 6. Next question, the final NBA question here. The Golden State Warriors will go back-to-back NBA championships. Yes, this is a hold, but it is a tough hold because I really want to buy it. But again, I think there's just too much unknown right now in the NBA to make a prediction. We don't know about Kawhi Leonard and Paul George's health with the Clippers. When those two guys are on the court, you can make your argument the Clippers are the second best team in the West next to Golden State. We don't know kind of what Golden State's bench is going to be. They just lost Gary Payton, which is a huge loss. We'll see if Jonathan Kuminga, James Wiseman get back on the court and give them contributions. But listen, Golden State, I didn't know if they were going to beat Phoenix. I thought they'd give Phoenix a little bit of a run, but they certainly got lucky, in my opinion, when Dallas knocked Phoenix out in 7 games. They caught a little bit of a break when Ja Morant obviously went out in the Memphis series. Now, they were better than Boston, in my opinion, no question. I picked Golden State in 6 games. I picked Steph Curry to win Finals MVP, and I was correct on that. But there's just too much unknown in the NBA right now to know how the landscape can change. If Russ and Kyrie get swapped, Russ ends up in Brooklyn, or maybe they buy him out, he goes somewhere else, and Kyrie does end up going to the Lakers. I think the Lakers then will have a chance to get, LeBron that 5th ring, and maybe end with Golden State. So as of right now, we don't really know. And so to me, unlike the NFL where the season is almost here, the NBA on these next season projections, unless you're a team like Milwaukee, who we know is going to bring back everybody, no matter who gets acquired, in the East, Milwaukee will be up there. I think in the NBA, it's a little bit harder right now to make these projections, which is why a lot of these projections for me in the NBA are holds. So out of this here, we add 2 sells, I believe. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 holds and 4 buys. We have 4 holds, 4 buys, 2 sells in the NBA part of this buy, sell, or hold. So let's get to the NFL now from Jalen. Question number 1. The Browns will take care of Baker Mayfield and the Panthers week 1. And for the first time since 2004, I believe the Browns will win a home opener. I am buying this notion because Carolina, I don't care if they got Baker Mayfield, I don't care if they got Sam Darnold under center. Outside Christian McCaffrey, who may even get hurt in the game. He never stays healthy anymore. He's a great running back. The Browns obviously have a great defensive line. Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, I think Ariane Winfrey, the defensive tackle they drafted, will make a huge impact early on this season. And outside of DJ Moore, Carolina's got no skill groups. And I do think that the Browns, if they're able to run the ball, whether it's with Deshaun Watson or Jacoby Brissett, when you have Kareem Hunt, when you have Nick Chubb, when you have the talent the Browns have offensively now with Amari Cooper on the outside, and just the Browns to me are a better football team than Carolina. I do think if Baker Mayfield plays, Carolina is going to be inspired. I think it's going to be a better game, but I think the Browns are ready to get that week 1 monkey off their back. And I do think the Browns, I'm going to buy it here. The Browns do walk away week 1 with their first victory in a home opener since 2004. And I will say this as well. You will hear the rest of my NFL predictions. I'm not going to go too in depth with records and stuff here, but you'll hear the rest of my NFL predictions. We do come back from vacation September. I believe that would be September 5th. We will be back on Monday. That is Labor Day, where I will be giving all my 2022 NFL predictions. Over the vacation period, I'll be working on a column with all those predictions that I will put out right before this season begins. Next question, sticking with the AFC North. The Bengals will win the division. Yeah, I'm actually going to sell this. I really do like the Baltimore Ravens. I think people forget the Baltimore Ravens were 8-3 last year for the first 11 games, and then Lamar Jackson got hurt, along with literally every single defensive back on the roster, every running back on the roster. I know they lost Hollywood Brown, but this team is going to lean into their identity with Gus Edwards, with Jake Dobbins, with all the running backs they have of running the football. And they got the center out of Iowa, who I thought was the best offensive line in the draft. They addressed every single need, defensive back, offensive line, tight end. They addressed almost every single need that they had in the draft. Defensive tackle, safety as well. Kyle Hamilton is now a Baltimore Raven. I think the Ravens had one of the best drafts. I know Lamar Jackson's second contract, but I think the Ravens had one of the best drafts in football this year. I think they're a really good football team. And even though I love Joe Burrow, even though I love Ja'Marr Chase, I don't think the Bengals defense is as good as Baltimore's defense. And I think the Ravens actually play the Bengals really well, despite Cincinnati pulling them out twice last year. Part of that was because I don't think Baltimore played any defensive backs in any ball game that they were in. And of course, Ja'Marr Chase made that incredible play in Baltimore week 7. But I think the Ravens are the best team. I think Cincinnati would be second. I picked the Browns third and Pittsburgh fourth. But again, these are not my official record predictions. These are just going off the top of my head for right now. Next question. We're moving on to the AFC West. So Denver will make the playoffs with the addition of Russell Wilson. To me, right now, this is a hold, and I'm going to explain why. You take a look at the AFC playoff picture. We know there's going to be 7 teams that are going to make it. We know there's going to be 4 teams in the division that are going to make it. I think we all think Buffalo is going to win the AFC East. One of the people out of the AFC West is going to win the division. We'll get to that in a second. I already said I think Baltimore is going to win in the AFC North, and I do think the Colts are a little bit better than the Titans right now. I think they walk away with the South. I think the East and the South will have just the division winner, no wild cards. I think it comes down to basically then you got the Browns, the Bengals, the Raiders, the Broncos, the Chiefs, and the Chargers. Whoever obviously doesn't win the West. So the 3 other teams plus the 2 teams in the North, you've got 5 teams for free spots. I think we all kind of feel like Kansas City, no matter what, will make the playoffs. The Chargers, they got Justin Herbert, they got Joey Bosa, they got Khalil Mack, they got Derwin James, they got Keenan Allen, they got Mike Williams. They are loaded. They got Austin Eckler. I really like the Chargers. I think they can make a splash and make the playoffs. Vegas, to me, is one of the most improved teams in football this year with Derek Carr, Darren Waller, Devontae Adams. I think that offense is going to be really good. And with Josh McDaniels now running the ship, they have a great chance to make the playoffs. And then you throw in Cincinnati, and depending on what happens with Deshaun Watson, if he stays, no games suspended, I think the Browns have a great chance to make the postseason. And even with Russell Wilson at quarterback, I think Denver is still lagging a little bit compared to Vegas in the receiver department. Their pass rush is decent. Their offensive line, though, is not very good. I think the Chargers, Chiefs, and arguably Vegas could be better than Denver, though we're going to have to see how all these teams going to beat each other up. I think this is too early to judge right now, which is why I'm going to hold it. Now, this one, Derek Carr will be a top 5 QB with the addition of Devontae Adams. Listen, I just said I love Derek Carr and Devontae Adams together, but no. Derek Carr will not be a top 5 QB in the NFL. Off the top of my head, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. There's your 4 without a doubt. And I think already better than Derek Carr is Deshaun Watson, is Justin Herbert, is Russell Wilson, is Matthew Stafford. So that is just, Off the top of my head, Kyler Murray, I would even take now, who just got a huge contract extension, which I think is worth it. I know we'll talk about Arizona here in a second. So as much as I love Derek Carr, I think he is in the top 10, but top 5, man, no way. You can even throw Lamar Jackson in there. If you want to go Lamar, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Brady, Rodgers, your top 5. You got no argument from me there, but there's no way Derek Carr cracks the top 5. This is an easy sell. Next question. Patrick Mahomes will thrive even without the loss of Tyreek Hill. Now, I love the wording of this one because thrive is a subjective term. We know Patrick Mahomes struggled early in the season last season. You had people like me questioning if the Kansas City dynasty was over. They went on a crazy run. They obviously made the AFC Championship game and lost to the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, Tyreek Hill is a huge loss, but Patrick Mahomes to me is a super sharp quarterback. He's one of the best in the biz. Andy Reid will figure it out without Tyreek Hill. He may have a few, more interceptions than expected. He may struggle early, but I think toward the end of the season, you're going to see more than normal numbers from Patrick Mahomes. So thrive, I think he will stay consistent. And so for that, I'm going to buy this topic. Next question. The Dolphins will win at least 6 games this year. Now, this is tough, but I am going to go ahead and buy this topic. The reason that I'm going to go ahead and buy this because they do have a new head coach, Mike McDaniel. He is offensive. They did add Tyreek Hill. They did add Ed Armstead at left tackle. They do have some good pieces in place. Now, I'm not a big fan of Tua Tagovailoa. You guys have known. I said Miami. I would have moved off of them 2 years ago in the drought. I would have gone and got Mac Jones or Trey Lance and moved off Tua Tagovailoa. I've said that on multiple occasions. But the fact of the matter is, I think Miami is still the second best team in the AFC East. I don't know what the hell New England is doing as well. And the Jets, even though they made some good additions, I think, in the draft, we still have to see if Zach Wilson and Robert Saleh are the quarterback head coach combination of the future there in New York. And Miami, they did go on that crazy run last year with Brian Flores, and they're one of those 8-9 win teams. It feels like every year that are not bad, but they're never great either. But I do think that 6 games, at least 6. So basically, the over under here has to be at least 6. So if they go 6-11, I am good here. I think that they will at least win 6 games next season. So I'm gonna go ahead and buy it. Next question. Even with the loss of DeAndre Hopkins, the Arizona Cardinals will still be in good shape. I like the wording of this one from Jalen because I do believe that DeAndre Hopkins, if he does miss 6 games, Arizona, they can go 3-3 here. I do think they'll still be in good shape. I think they're the second best team in the NFC West. I think they're certainly a playoff team, and they got Hollywood Brown and AJ Green to go alongside DeAndre Hopkins, just when Hopkins comes back, but I think those 2 guys can hold down the fort for now. Arizona, we know, always starts off hot, and yes, they do struggle down the stretch, but usually early in the year, Kyler Murray is a master wizard because he's healthy and he makes some incredible plays. So yes, I do believe if Arizona, which I believe they will ride the ship here, at least go 3-3. Without Hop, they can make a run, and I do expect them to make the postseason. So because of that reason, I'm going to go ahead and buy this topic again. Question number 8. Aaron Rodgers will still make the playoffs and possibly the Super Bowl, even with the loss of Davante Adams. Yeah, I'm going to go in and buy this. I know a lot of people are big fans of Kevin O'Connell and what he's going to do in Minnesota. I think a lot of people really do like the Vikings this year. I'm kind of that person that, hey, I need to wait to see it. First, I don't really trust Kirk Cousins in big games. And even with the loss of Davante Adams, Green Bay still has a great defense. Now, they are not a Super Bowl contender, but this question said possibly the Super Bowl. And I think when you take a look around the NFC, I think you got Tampa Bay, you got the Rams, and then it's pretty much wide open with teams like San Francisco and, Philly and Arizona and Dallas and Green Bay and Minnesota. I think it's going to be like 6 teams for 5 spots, something like that. We obviously know the bottom of the NFC is a lot weaker than the bottom of the AFC. So I do think Green Bay still makes the playoffs. I'm going to go ahead and buy this. Again, we are on a hot streak here. We got 1, 2, 3 straight buys. Will we make it another one? I believe we will. Because the question is, my Philadelphia Eagles will make the playoffs, and of course, I'm buying this topic. I believe my Philadelphia Eagles will win the NFC East with the additions of A.J. Brown, with Jordan Davis, with Nakobe Dean, who I still believe is the steal of the draft. He's going to be starting Mike linebacker day one with James Bradbury to go opposite of Darius Slay. Those are huge additions on the defensive side of the ball. The question with this team now is going to be, can Jalen Hurts throw the football? Because we were the most run-centric team in football last season. We're going to be a little bit more pass-centric this season with A.J. Brown in the mix. I don't think DeVonta Smith is a number one like a lot of people think. I really think he is a number two. That's why I think A.J. Brown is perfect, because he can take the number one corner, and even if he doesn't get a lot of targets, that will open up the field more for DeVonta Smith, for Quez Watkins, who's really fast in the slot, for Dallas Goedert. These Philadelphia Eagles, who made the playoffs last season, running on the back of Jalen Hurts and a multitude of running backs, do have the weapons. Also mentioning Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell out of the backfield. The biggest weakness on our team at linebacker, we upgraded in the draft. Our defensive front, to me, is the best defensive front in football, and I'm not biased. I just think it's true. This team can now go 8 deep, with the starters being Josh Sweat, Hassan Reddick, Frederick Cox, Javon Hargrave, the backup, the B unit, if you will, being Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Derek Barnett. I mean, that is and Brandon Graham as well. So that is 8 guys who I believe can come in and play the defensive line. Philly has a great rotation up front. They may be a little bit older on both sides of the line, but Cam Burgess is going to replace Jason Kelce next season at center. He's getting mentored this season, and I think with the Eagles alongside Nick Sirianni, the future is bright if Jalen Hurts can prove he is the guy this year, which I obviously hope he does. And I believe that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to make the playoffs. I'm buying this topic. Next question here. We got the Rams will be back-to-back Super Bowl champions. And I'm actually going to sell this topic. Listen, I think the Rams are a top 3 team in the NFC, but I think that they should have lost to San Francisco in the NFC Championship game. If Jaquiski Tartt makes that interception in the fourth quarter, the Rams do not win that game. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to another Super Bowl. If the Bucs don't have a busted coverage, in that divisional round, I think Brady comes back and beats the Rams in Tampa on that game. The Rams made some self-inflicted wounds. I understand they dominated 3.5 quarters, but when you make self-inflicted wounds against the GOAT Tom Brady, you're gonna pay. Brady brought MMA back again. It just wasn't meant to be. But listen, it is really hard. I don't care what the type of talent you have. We saw it last year with Tampa Bay. It is really, really difficult in the NFL to go back-to-back in the Super Bowl. It hasn't been done since the 03-04 New England Patriots. And I just think Tampa Bay this season and Buffalo and Kansas City, those top dogs are be gunning for the Rams, who I think they struggle early coming out of the gate, handling success in that Los Angeles environment. I'm going to go ahead and sell this one. And our final question of the day here. Tom Brady will win another Super Bowl in Tampa Bay this year, and I'm not going to spoil my prediction, but let me just say, if I was a betting man, I would absolutely buy this topic. I think they have a great chance, even with losing Rob Gronkowski. I think the biggest addition this Tampa Bay team made, not only, besides Russell Gage on the outside to complement Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Scotty Miller, but it was replacing Bruce Arians with Todd Bowles. And I think Brady is locked in. I think Brady wants one more Super Bowl before he hangs it up. We know he did the brief retirement, but I said all along, I thought it was to get Bruce Arians out of coaching and upstairs. Brady and Bruce Arians did not get along. They run 2 completely different offenses. Bruce Arians is throwing down the field, no risk it, no biscuit. Tom Brady is more short throws, safe completion, get the ball out, don't get hit. My kind of offense is the reason why Brady does have 7 Super Bowls and 10 appearances. I do believe that the GOAT and better be back for revenge this year. And as of right now, they should be the favorite to me to go in and win the Super Bowl. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and buy this topic. And I really like the topics that Jalen threw together in the NFL because we only had 2 selves. That being the Rams will be back-to-back Super Bowl champions, and that being that the Bengals will be at top of the AFC North. I lied. We had 3. Derek Carr will also not be a top 5 quarterback. So we had 3 selves. We had 1 old, and then we had 7 buys, which is incredible. I really like the topics you put together, Jalen. So if you're listening to this, thank you. Thank you guys so much for listening to the Brandon's World podcast today. This was really fun doing buy, sell, or hold for the NBA and the NFL. Make sure to check out the video version of this, not only on YouTube, but I'm going to go in and put this up on Anchor and Spotify as a video version as well, along with the audio. You can check out the Brandon's World podcast wherever you get your podcast. We will be back here on Thursday next week, previewing the biggest party of the summer, the most stupendous Summer Slam in intro coincidence next Saturday. Can't wait. Nissan Stadium, Nashville, Tennessee. Going to be a hell of a time. And then after we recap Summer Slam next Sunday, right here on the Brandon's World podcast, we will get ready for the Brandon's World finale, which I have something special that I will announce here in the coming weeks. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you guys next time. And peace.